Welcome to the messy middle of entrepreneurship, unfiltered and unapologetic. Uncensored Entrepreneurs, hosted by Star Cod, Robert Wall, and Tina Torres Wilson, brings you real stories from the trenches of building a business. Those late nights, hard lessons, big wins, and everything in between. This is where the truth about entrepreneurship lives. No fluff, no filters, just raw, honest conversations with founders who have lived it. So, if you're over the highlight reel and you're ready for the real deal, hit play. Welcome to today's show. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce our guest, April Dodson. April is a dynamic entrepreneur, has mastered the art of leveraging time and technology to grow her business while staying authentic and deeply connected to her audience. As a leader in the art of sales and innovation, she's an expert in utilizing VA services and AI tools to maximize efficiency without sacrificing the organic and personal touch that her audience has grown to love. So in today's episode, we're going to dive deep into her journey, talk about some strategies and insights on how to balance automation and authenticity. So let's welcome April Dodson to the show. April, I'm so excited that you're here because not only do we collaborate in business and we've worked with each other on all different levels of leadership and mentorship, but you're just a great friend, right? And I don't want to go without saying this really quick about April. So I came here to South Carolina. You'll know April. I don't even know. I always tell everyone like 16.
You were 1 month before us. You were in May and we came in July. So 2 months.
What has it been, like 16, 17 years?
Yes.
Okay. I always just kind of get the two. But the thing is that when I came here, exactly, I met you a month later and you guys had moved here as well. And we just hit it off. You're an entrepreneur on many different levels. I'll just say a serial entrepreneur like myself, where typically like one opportunity leads to the next. So you guys have a lot going on. You've got a beautiful family, and let alone her husband and her, they also own a microbrewery in town.
Nice.
And let's just say that I'm never hurt when I have to go visit them over there.
So when you became an empty nester, how did that make you feel? Because when I became an empty nester, I have 3 boys. When my last of the third boy left, he joined the military. My whole identity was like, who am I?
So that started actually when my oldest daughter started with her car and then going places and doing things. And then it was like not cooking dinner for 5 people, cooking dinner for 4. And I am very thankful because I make a joke that I raised my girls in a barn. They're angels. They never like went out and did things they weren't supposed to do that I know of. They were always just like really good, super helpful, like nice to be around. We never had any of those issues that a lot of people talk about, or even like how bad I was whenever I was a kid. If you could even imagine me, Rob, like 25 years ago, like, whoa. So I still have one at home and she's 19. She's my best friend. We literally do so much together. She plans her college schedule around time off that I have. And then if I find something to do on Tuesday, she's like, that's supposed to be I'm like, Taylor, I've also got to work, and she's like, anyway. So I still have some like camaraderie at home. I'm super thankful for it. But I had to really find something to do to get used to that extra time, because just like everyone, it's all about the kids whenever they're little. And so when they start finding their own things to do, grow up and move out and things like that, it definitely leaves a lot of time. And I have spent a lot of time at home alone. Sometimes I enjoy it. Sometimes I'm like really bored and I'm like, okay, let's not just sit here and watch TV. Let's find something to do. So for me, I found yoga, and yoga like has just helped me tremendously. Had no idea at all in the whole entire world that I ever wanted to be an instructor or open up a studio. But here I am. I opened Fit Yoga 3 years ago. We'll celebrate 3 years in March. And so that's one thing that I found that I love to do. Crafting is another one. And then woodworking with real wood. And so I found things to find with my time, but it definitely takes a little bit of soul searching, doesn't it? It's not easy.
It does.
And
It really does.
You're right, because it's such a transition. Like you said, you were busy raising, 3 girls, and then all of a sudden now you're an empty nester. I think what's awesome too, and we're going to unpack your journey a little bit, but what's really awesome is that they've carried on some of this entrepreneurial spirit as well, right? Because they've been part of your business. You've brought them in and trained them and coached them through all kinds of things, because I see them involved in things now. So that's pretty exciting. Let's kind of unpack. So you started with one of your hobbies, right? So as far as yoga, and I just want to share this for everyone that's watching. When I say serial entrepreneur, when I first met April, they came in and she'll talk about the transition. But you started out right with the hood cleaning business. You grew that to a very large size. And from that, that led to the services that you're doing now because you started helping other businesses. But I want to just share briefly that when you opened the brewery, I remember when you guys were just starting because it was something you were passionate about. You were just starting to do the yoga and beer, right?
Right.
Yeah. Before she even opened the studio.
Even knew I ever wanted to teach yoga. It wasn't even ever in my mind. And so I like yoga, but I am really particular about who I want to do yoga with. And I only want to do it like if I really am all in with the trainer. And so I used to drive all the way to Greenville, like 50 minutes one way to go to this one yoga studio that I like. So when we opened up the brewery, lots of breweries do yoga. I'm like, how do we get more people in drinking beer at noon on a Saturday?
Actually, April, we should do a big business event around that because that'd be fun to bring a bunch of people in that are entrepreneurs that maybe have no experience in yoga just to do an event like that. So anyway, I'm in.
Star can fly in, right, Star?
Come on, Star. Yeah. All right. So let's kind of back up a little bit here because we really do want to create kind of this value of letting people know here on the Uncensored that we're all busy, right? We talk about the real, raw, and unplugged things that happen behind the scenes. Being an entrepreneur is not an easy task, but it's an achievable dream. And so the thing is that the best way to do that is to start leveraging time and building collaborations and figuring out like how best to automate things or to let other people handle things, to outsource things so that I can focus on the things that matter, the true interaction with my client, making sure they're taken care of, and that true discovery. So with that being said, April, give us a little journey, if you don't mind. I know it's kind of a condensed version of you came here to South Carolina, we said 16, 17 years ago. You had an established business. Tell us about how that journey went and then what made you stem off into the support side.
Okay. And so I want to say one thing first because it came to
Yeah.
my mind just with the title of today, while staying authentic. And I think that it's important that you be yourself because everybody else is taken. Do not try to mimic other people and want their success because if you have a mindset like that, you're really holding yourself back because most people have it within them to make it happen, but it takes work. And being an entrepreneur, it's always an uphill battle, and that never changes. Every single day, every person that you employ or work with comes to you with at least 3 problems that you have to solve. And so times that by 16 employees, and that's quite a big number. So you wake up thinking your feet are going to hit the floor. You got these meetings today. It's going to go great. And then somebody calls in. And then this meeting cancels. And so I just think that it's really important to know that every journey is different and to be yourself because everybody else is taken. To answer your question, we started off in 2002. Josh went to a school. That's my husband, and he was trained to clean the commercial kitchen hoods in restaurants. He came home, and at that time, their only marketing idea was to send 3,000 mailers a month, and it was so extremely expensive. It was like probably marked up 500%. Anyways, but you don't know all this when you're like 21 and 22 and starting out and you think you did all your research. So anyways, they send out 3,000 postcards like a week after you come home from training and you wait for the phone to ring. So a long time ago, Josh was quite a bit different. He was very, very shy and not very outgoing, but always nice to talk to. And he is a good salesperson, but he does not sell like me. He gets it done monotone. He's the middle of the road price, always has been, to where I'm a huge go-getter. And I thought, there's no way I'm waiting for the phones to ring. And I was like, how am I going to help my husband? And so we had an office downstairs and I went downstairs. This was before Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and all those things. I was saving the church bulletins on the DOS disk, driving to FedEx Kinko's like 20 minutes away in St. Louis, and then printing them and then having them ready for the church the next day. So this was like a long time ago. And so I thought, how am I going to help him? And, I'm not scared to talk to anybody. And I've always been that way. I've always said that I was born an entrepreneur. I do not think that everybody is an entrepreneur. I think, that it takes a certain type of person to be an entrepreneur. And I think we see that with the number of businesses that fail. They just didn't realize what it was actually going to take and things like that. And so I downloaded the zip codes closest to our house, and then I printed them off because, like I said, you couldn't save them as a file back then unless I was putting on a DOS disk. So anyways, I printed them off, and then I started calling, and I was like, hey, my name's April Dodson with DS Commercial Kitchen Hood Cleaning, and I wanted to see if my husband Josh could stop over, take a look, give a price, and go from there. All of them said yes. And so he was so excited. We set a goal that we had to sell, I think it was $30,000, like before he would quit his gas delivery job. And so we did that in 1 month. And so he was able to quit and we went all in. Our very first year in business, we grew our company $160,000 with bid slots cold calling technique and the way that he would return the price to me and I would follow up to close the deal. And so we started building routes. Like Rob said, we did start in St. Louis. We moved into Kansas City, and Josh was brought into Cintas to teach them how to sell hood cleaning because they were more focused at that time on selling a little nail for like 100 and something percent above what the nail cost, when hood cleaning is a huge market that they were leaving on the table, underbidding people, losing money like big time.
We won't get in it on this call, but let's just say this, because I've been on a couple routes with Josh in the beginning because I was just fascinated. When I experienced it, I'm like, that's why, because the ones that don't do that have either fires or you don't want to eat at those restaurants. Just trust me. So anyways,
one of the safest businesses you can get into because it's an NFPA 96 standard, National Fire Protection Association standard. It's a federal regulation that the commercial kitchen hoods have to be clean and people are going to eat till the day they die. That's kind of like where that comes from. We expanded into Kansas City. We merged with a larger company with a larger vision, but when we got into the office, didn't see eye to eye, sold to them, signed a no compete, moved to South Carolina and did the same thing all over again. Started out in South Carolina with 0 customers and did the same thing all over again. This time though, working on our local Ingles grocery stores, I was able to sell 276 stores, which was life-changing for us, and we sold after that. Worldwide commercial kitchen hood cleaning company. Josh was tired of like cleaning the hoods and things like that, and so he wanted nothing to do with cleaning, so he opened up the brewery.
and that's where bid slot was birthed, right? And so you were using those same techniques, not just for your own business before you even sold, but even after you sold, you were providing this service to hundreds.
Over 6,000 cleaning companies and or other types of companies. We were only going to do this for kitchen hood cleaners. And then we realized right away, we're like, because we had power washers and window cleaners and weekly, nightly service people calling us. And they're like, hey, so-and-so told me about you. Can you do this for my company? And I'm like, yeah, we can. We learned a lot along the way and it helped us like know how to price the packages. Cause see, with kitchen hood cleaning, it's one script where I can guarantee a certain number of appointments. But with, for example, like IT services, that's a per call campaign. The only guarantee you get is the number of calls you purchase will be made. We cannot guarantee you a certain number of results or sales or anything like that. And so we've learned so much. And the way that the answering service and virtual office unfolded was all of our clients were saying, April, you're keeping me busy. So great job. I can't even keep up with all of the work, but now I can't answer the phone during the day and people are getting mad at me because the fan's not working when they go in and then I'm not calling them back till 3. So it literally was just ticking people off. That was one thing, along with like, just doing all the normal office stuff, like phone rings, enter them in the CRM, set up a schedule, things like that. And we again started off the answering service and virtual office when cloud-based software was just becoming a thing. So we had started out all manual stuff because we didn't have a cloud-based software. I had never even really thought of it at that point. This was like probably 2012, really, because I first heard of Salesforce in like 2013, then voice over IP, right? So everything's changing. And I quickly realized right away that software was going to be my biggest issue for an answering service. Nobody had a software that, number one, I could afford as a small business, and number two, that I liked everything that it did. So I built my own software with a developer. And here within the next couple months, I'm going to start licensing that software to other people that use VAs and have agencies like mine. So it kind of just like unfolded that way. And the yoga happened because, number one, I was a really stressed out business owner. At one time, I'm surprised I didn't have a heart attack. So I started doing yoga. And whenever I did finally open up the studio and become a certified teacher, which was in 2020, I want to help stressed out business owners because I really do love the people that I work with. And so phase one was open up the studio. Phase two is build a deck. Phase three is knock down some woods and put a couple yurts on our property here and have some, like retreats. And then phase four is going to be start offering it online to my business owners. However, there have been packages I've sold before that include yoga, but none of my clients have taken me up on it yet. And I don't push too hard on it, but I know at some point, I certainly believe that fitness has a place in business. I think that a lot of us find ourselves sitting down, our butt hurts, our back hurts, our neck hurts, just like normal wear and tear.
I know. Here I am with my bad posture leaning into the screen. Yeah.
Our back or just to get out and do things and stretch. So I love that you're doing that.
I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. Before we dive back in, I want to share something I've seen again and again. When business feels stuck, it's not always strategy. It's often misalignment. That's what inspired me to create the Universal Brand Alignment Method. It's a course that helps entrepreneurs reconnect with who they truly are and how they're meant to lead so that their message finally lands. So if you're ready for your brand to reflect your truth, then head to brandingcollaborative.com/alignment. That's brandingcollaborative.com/alignment. Now, let's get back to the conversation.
I just wanted to clarify really quickly. Currently, your services are using automation and VAs to do appointment setting for local small businesses, as well as answering their phones. Is that correct?
So that's part of it. I consider my office two separate sides, even though it's under one umbrella. And I learned that the hard way. So we started out as only appointment setting, right? And then when we moved into the VA answering service, to me, it's the same whether it's VA or answering service. When you hire us in that capacity, we'll do anything that you ask us to do, just like if you had someone in an office. So the VAs are actually in my office. I do have some remote workers, all US based. But I do have staff that I have an office. I have people that report in the office. But, COVID forced everybody to be ready to work from home as well. So we are set up that way now, and COVID required that. But we do so many services. I actually have a document called Attachment A. But if you ask me what we're really good at, like answering service virtual office, it's answering the phone, quoting and closing the deal, and working your current customer database, which we consider your pot of gold. We are the first answering service that allows a human US-based answer agent, AI answer agent, or we can place you with a VA. So we offer all three. And, a lot of the companies, even though like our hourly rate, if you're looking at it that way, is way higher than a $4 an hour VA in the Philippines, for example. Did you know that we're actually a cost savings at $60 an hour compared to hiring the VA in the Philippines? Because I've never heard of any VA just being okay with 3 hours a week, right? You got to guarantee them 25 or 40 hours. Those are normally the only two options that you have. When you look at it that way, $25, times 4 is $550 a month is what you're going to pay for that. And our lowest package is like $250 for $225. That's the entire reason why I created my software, was that you always know where we're at and what we're doing, because most people have their VAs record their screen. Who in the world has time to go back and watch an 8-hour screen record? Nobody. Nobody's looking at it. And the only time that you would ever look at that is if you had an issue. You're not going to know you had an issue till about 6 months from now when somebody calls and they're like, well, I thought that this is what I'm paying for. Oh, you haven't logged into my email for 6 weeks. Oh, I want all my money back. So the software that I created, we have it set up in our office where when your call comes in for your company, it's going to be like star and it's going to tell us where to go to what to do because we work in 2 different systems. And so we click a button and it starts billing you. That means we're actively working for you, whether we're like taking a call, whether it's like bookkeeping, or if you are a realtor and you have leads coming in and you need us to book them because response time's everything. So really, you're the one that chooses how you work with us. But the software is unique in the way when we're done working for you, we stop the button. That means it stops billing you. You get an instant email and access to a beautiful dashboard, but you get an instant email that says XYZ just called in, sold $500. It tells you all the details. It day and time stamps it. It tells you how long we just worked for you. That's full transparency.
Yeah.
It always tells you where you're at with your hours and your minutes. No other answering service does that. So I did that because that's the biggest complaint of how we get a lot of business, because they're like, I signed up for this $600 plan and they charged my card on the first for 600 and 3 days later I got like a $2,500 bill. That really ticks small businesses off. So whenever I sign someone up, I'm like, I tell them everything I just told you. Every task you get an instant email. It stamps it with the time we took the call, how long we just worked for you, your beginning number of hours and minutes and your ending number of hours and minutes, and then everything we just did for you. And then in like the actual system, you have an archive section that you have full control of. Plus, say you're working at like 1 o'clock in the morning when we're closed because we're not 24 hours. You basically can go in there and add a job. If you're like, what is this? Like, what did they mean? You can like add a job in there. We see it the next morning. We assign it to someone. You get a message that it's in progress. So we saw it and then completed whenever we write out whatever the message is or whatever the job would have been you asked us to do.
Yeah, I tell you, like their system is just so efficient, and you continuously. That's what I love. April didn't just start a call center and kind of stick with that model, that same model that we experience with other like VAs. That the model hasn't changed in the last 15 years. You're always looking at like ways to innovate, and all the problems that you find, you're usually then trying to find a solution right to that problem. And what I love about all the stuff that you just mentioned, I just like putting the stuff out there for just anyone that's listening, is you're talking a great deal about salesmanship, like things that you have to do, but you're always integrating really just problem solving. You talked about the fact that you had a business and there was a problem, so you solved that, and then you were able to serve others by solving their problems with what you found in that solution. And then you realized as an entrepreneur, you were burned out. And so as a burned out entrepreneur, you're like, health is important. I need to really focus on health. And so not only then did you turn that internally, like things that you were doing, but then you were like, I need to serve others. And the fact that you're talking about retreats and being able to do something online, and where a lot of us desk jockeys can just stop, hit pause for the moment and do an online yoga exercise with April. I love the fact that you're always thinking of ways to solve problems so that people can be more efficient. And to me, that's really why I was excited about having you on to talk about leveraging. You've created some amazing things to leverage time, but you're always looking for ways to be innovative for yourself and others. I just think that's a huge thing. So I want to give you some kudos around that.
First of all, I love that you're interested in technology. I'm interested in technology and automation, and those things excite me. We talk about that on the show. But he did mention a couple of things that you're working on, and I don't know if that's something you want to share, but a lot of our audience are online business owners, like coaches, consultants, things like that, where I know a lot of the work you do is with local small businesses. Do you have any advice or anything that you're working on where, you have that solopreneur, maybe they have a VA, maybe they need a VA, but they're doing things on social media?
Yeah, let's talk about cold calling, April, just for a moment, if you don't mind.
We love it over here. I've had some of the most exciting times of my life on a phone call. First time I talked to someone. One of my favorite stories to tell is one time I had one of my agents was cold calling, and they're so well trained that she knew to come to me to tell me what had happened. And she came to my office. She was like a super chill salesperson. And she's like, "Hey, I was cold calling in Las Vegas for this client, and I got in touch with the purchasing manager for MGM in Las Vegas, and he wants to see if you can be there tomorrow at 2." And I said, "Okay." I was like, "Which database? What account?" I call the guy and I'm like, "Hi, this is April Dodson with Nelbud." That was the company name. And I was like, "You just talked to Becky and I wanted to see, you had asked for a meeting tomorrow at 2. I'm in South Carolina. And so he said, if you can be here tomorrow at 2, I have some time." I got off the phone. I called my client who was in Philadelphia and I said, "Hey," I was like, "this just happened." And he's like, "You get on a plane from South Carolina. I'll get on a plane from Philadelphia." And we both met each other at 11 o'clock in the morning in Las Vegas the next day. We sold every MGM in the US.
I love it.
And one phone call. Would you like to know how much he paid us for the phone call? $18.
Wow, that's huge.
You know, that's a multi-million-dollar deal. What's
Yes.
the MGM's alone was like 70,000 for the hood cleaning.
Yeah. I was going to say less than a meal on the flight over there. So
I have some stories like that, like the 276 Ingles all started with a phone call.
So here's the thing, right? I don't know how much you want to reveal or talk about it, but not only do you offer all these amazing services, but through your innovation, you realized, because you and I talk about this a lot,
Yep.
that even when you automate a lot of things, that organic touch is still so powerful. And you're already doing that, right? So it's not just all AI driven. Can we talk just a little bit or a sneak
We
peek?
can. We're like within the next week, it's going to be on the Chrome store. I still have the first version on my computer working. And so I am a creator, an eventer, and a forward thinker. And I also am always thinking of new age ways to sell, even though cold calling's still king over, Google ads, Facebook advertising, referrals, word of mouth, lower budget, higher return, all day cold calling works. With that being said, there are some people that, do not have time to go to the appointments or whatever the case may be. Maybe they even just want like another avenue for sales. And so I created a software called Group Grabber. And Group Grabber allows us to pull all of the Facebook groups or now LinkedIn groups, and then it puts them on a nice dashboard. And basically, when you purchase Group Grabber, we do have a do-it-yourself version. No one's purchased that yet. So obviously, most people we're working with do not have the time to do that. But we have different packages where it includes a certain number of posts per week. And then I created the word for Group Grabber, profiling. And so what profiling means to us with Group Grabber is we don't just post on your Facebook page. And even if you have a social media manager and or you handle it yourself, you don't have to stop anything you're doing when we do it for you. You can still do whatever it is you want to do, but we will make 1 to 2 posts, or depending on the package you purchase, some of them are all day, every day. Then we will take the post that we make for you and we share it into groups that where we've already read all of the group rules, and we manually read the group rules. And if it's like no sales in this group, absolutely at all whatsoever, blah, 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 give more than you take, we're like, okay, no problem. So did you know that VAs in 1979, da, 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 da. So we make it information, right? And we still continue to direct them to your social media, your website, your calendar link, whatever your goal is there. Most people have us like enter them into a CRM that you have access to. You also approve all the posts that we would make for you. And we normally schedule all social media at least 30 days in advance. So the last week of the month, we get all of our clients' social media done for the following month, and we just rock and roll. And then anybody that likes, tags, comments, or shares any post that we make for you, we try to get their phone number and their email, and then we put it into the system that you have access to, the CRM, and we're building you a list that you would never get any other way. It's not only good from like a branding perspective to constantly stay in front of your customer and have someone always on the hook for those replies. Most people, the way that they handle working in groups is they post And then if somebody asks a question, they answer and they never get their contact information, phone number, and email. We do what we call being pleasantly persistent, which means as long as we work together forever and always, even if you liked the post 7 years ago and you didn't give us your email or your phone number, then we ask for it. But it's pleasantly persistent. It's not like 5 times in one day, even 1 week. We're like, it's a very gentle approach because you don't want to tick people off. You want to get their business. And if you're like every single day they're getting messages and it's all automated and you can tell it's a bot, they just think you suck.
Yeah.
And so it's like this delicate balance. But Group Grabber is considered a new age software. And we were recognized by the South Carolina Department of Commerce for the Innovision Award. We were one of 3 small businesses that were selected. And it was just like such an honor to even be selected and go to this event where, like, one of the people that we were like up against, he was a doctor and he created a device that he goes in through the ribs instead of the back on children that have spina bifida. And their surgeries would only be 1 to 3 compared to like 30, 40, 50 for these poor kids over time. I was up against somebody like that with Group Grabber. And I was like, oh my gosh, like amazing.
Yeah.
Just to go there and be asked to go there was a win.
That's
Amazing.
huge. Obviously, April's explaining what she does already for the clients with Group Grabber because it's a turnkey service. But imagine like just one little sliver of that for the entrepreneur that's trying to figure out a little bit more, gain a little bit more leads. Maybe they don't even like cold calling. This just takes it to one more step. So now instead of you just being immersed in all these groups, correct me if I'm wrong, April, but it's just from my experience already, that you have the ability to kind of comb through those, gain this information, this contact information, so that now you actually have a working list to go by. And so that whether you send part of an AI script initially as a first touch, or you're just going in organically and saying, hey, Tina, I just wanted to connect and reach out to you, blah, blah, blah. Or many times it's just Messenger. So you want the phone number, as you said, April.
Yeah.
And so if you're looking for the phone number, it's only going to give you those that actually have the phone number already listed and revealed in those groups. So now you have a working list that you can text, you can geo-target, all kinds of things. It's pretty
You
exciting.
never get that list any other way. And so right now it is a human doing that. The only thing that we do AI is content creation, but we read it, we revise it, we put the human touch in it and make sure that it makes sense. We don't just copy and paste and go. We definitely like read through it and things like that. We also create original content as well. And our clients can switch things up. We do work with a lot of home service business owners. A lot of them do holiday lights, for example. So they're power washing January through October, but they start their holiday lights, getting everybody confirmed and all that. And all you have to do if you're our client is say, hey, starting November 1st, start using this logo, start making posts towards holiday lights. Then they flip it back in January. So we work really closely with the customer. And there are people that will not give us their phone number and email. So we don't get it on every single person that we're talking to. But we do go like above and beyond by, like, for example, if we're on Facebook, if they're not answering us, we do actually take a look to see if we can get the phone number and email from when they signed up with Facebook, if they have it public. LinkedIn is even a little bit better with the list part because most people have a contact card, but that's not like where we're just pulling all that information with AI or a bot, because that's why the other softwares don't work. LinkedIn finds out, tells you no, you get locked out of your account for how long and you can't do what you're hoping to do. My software does not get you locked out of LinkedIn. It pulls basic information from groups, not individuals. We're working the individual. This is where it's a lot different than anything else out there. We're group specific. Are we getting you a contact list and contact information that you can't get any other way? Yeah. Because if you do even get one of those other softwares that does the individual contact information, those are the ones that aren't compliant. We're a compliant software. It makes us a lot different.
So if really quickly, are they sending DMs to acquire the phone numbers and email addresses from our account or from a different account?
That's up to you. So if our owner, the person we're working with, our client gives us access to your personal Facebook or LinkedIn, right? Then we post as you, we work in the groups as you, but it's been a split so far, like a A/B test. It's been split straight in the middle. Some are okay with us going into their LinkedIn and their Facebook as them, and then others aren't. The pros of us doing it as you is you see all the activity, you see exactly what we're doing, you see all the responses, and then you can double check the CRM, make sure if you're getting everything you're paying for. If you don't let us into your personal Facebook or LinkedIn, we do it as April Dodson, and then you just don't get to see the activity except for in our CRM. And then, of course, tasks that we run for you.
That's awesome. And just keeps getting better, really. So we're already coming up at kind of our time on the show. We could probably talk to you forever because there's so much to unpack, which we are planning a lot more like masterminds and some webinars this year. So you would be a great asset to add to that, April, because a lot of people need to hear like your message and how you're doing things and how you can serve them. The other thing is too, as we close out, it's just really a strong reminder that people understand that if you focus on like income producing activities daily in your business, and there's all these other things, as April mentioned earlier, no matter where you're at in this journey, you just heard she's able to offer a huge amount of services for just a couple $100 for somebody that's just getting started. So when you think about how you can leverage your time, I think it's worth just having a conversation, right? And that's what they'll do at BidSlot and with everything else that April has going on. It's really about solving problems. So if you are looking for a support team, someone that can actually help you through those things, make those calls, schedule appointments, work with your scripts, they can even create some SOPs for you if you don't already have them. I recommend giving them a call. And so if you're trying to reach April Dodson, the best place, again, BidSlot, that's BIDSLOT, bidslotprogram.com. And then above and beyond that, is that the best place where they can first kind of reach out? And then if they want to get on your calendar?
No, like you can call us at 888-718-2437 or just send me an email, and it is April@bidslotmarketingcorp.com.
All right. So thank you. Did Tina get that right? 888-718-2437.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
And we look forward to it. A lot more we could talk about. But I mean, you're a dynamo. You're doing some amazing things. I'm grateful to be working with you on different levels. And I hope that other people take the opportunity as well. Thanks for listening to The Uncensored Entrepreneurs. If you're getting value from the show, take a minute to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you tune in. It helps more bold entrepreneurs find us. Until next time, keep showing up, uncensored and unapologetic. And we'll catch you on the next episode.